This is the Comedy Kiosk, podcast by Mondae and Munoz. Please welcome Mondae and Munoz.
Hello and welcome to the Comedy Kiosk, a podcast in which we discuss news, opinions and ideas about comedy. My name is Igor Mondae and with me is David Munoz.
And today's topic is going to be comedy, art, craft, or arse. Well, the reason why I want to discuss this today is because my wife is an artist. She is without a doubt an artist. She paints, she sketches, she draws. Even her job is as a designer. She's doing stuff on the computer and she makes exhibitions. So it's weird when people go, oh, you know, you're an artist. Like, you know, you're a couple, you're both artists. And I'm thinking, wait, what? I'm an artist? No, I'm not an artist. You cannot call me an artist. Like, I'm not painting or making music or things like that. I am telling jokes on stage. But, you know, it's strange for me. I don't know. What do you reckon? Does it feel weird for you if someone calls you an artist?
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself an artist. No, I do. I mean, I think I consider what we do an art. I consider it a skill. I consider it...
Are you going to drop your name and start going with a symbol?
No, because I'm not a prince.
Okay.
I'm the king, baby.
Oh.
But yeah, I consider it an art. I would say that what we do is art because I think it's... I mean, what is art? How would you describe it? I think art is like something like created to inspire or to raise some like questions or, you know, to create opinions, discussions, like emotion, to provoke some emotion out of a person. Yeah. And I think that's what we do. We provoke a certain emotion. Mostly it's laughter and satisfaction, but sometimes it's, I don't know, discomfort or anger or whatever, cringe, you know, like it can be different things based on how well you do your art. Yeah. But in general, I think it does this. It creates, because it's not like it's not like a practical thing. Right? Mm-hmm. Like I would say that a craft is something that you use to create a practical thing, right? Like woodwork is craft, right?
Okay. So, all right. So I agree with you completely here. Where, an artist. I mean, art is meant to be a reflection of society or what's happening in culture and things like that, right? And you could say, yes, stand-up definitely fulfills that kind of category. Maybe not all stand-up, but a lot of stand-up. Like the idea is you either make just observations about life, very popular form, or you critique the government or politicians or famous people and things like that. That's exactly that. Or you're looking at analyzing why we do certain things, right, as humans or whatever, or cultural groups. So that part, yeah, it is like just like painting, for example. You know, painting of a revolution, like, you know, Picasso's one about the Spanish Civil War, Garuna, whatever it's called, and Guernica or something. Anyway, Guernica. Anyway, it's the name of
what
the
are
village
you
in Spain.
Talking about?
Yeah,
Guernica.
Yeah, but the point is, it is a reflection on that sort of stuff, right? I get that. But then if someone's making dick jokes or things like that, or like, is that art in a way? I mean...
Well, I mean, if we talk about painting, right, as art, right, someone drawing a white circle on a black canvas, is that art? It is, because it makes you think about something. Are dick jokes art? If it makes you think about something, which is like, oh, I hate dick jokes, or whatever, or dicks in general, I think that's because, okay, if we talk about other, right, like painting. So if you paint a portrait, is that art? Or is it just an image of a person that's, you know, 2D?
Okay, so now my question to you is, have you ever introduced yourself as an artist?
I haven't, because...
Well, no, but if someone says, what's your hobby? Do you ever use the word artist to represent who you are? Have you, or you always just go, oh, I'm a comedian. I'm an artist.
Yeah, but I again, if I was like an architect, do you think they are artists?
Good question.
Or like internal designer or something like this, or whatever, like
internal designer, like they the internal organs, they rearrange them. Your heart is the feng shui is not right for your body right now. We're going to move your heart to where your spleen was, and we're going to put your asshole near your armpits,
on your forehead. You know what I meant. Anyways, so what was I talking about? before I internally designed everything. Right. So
interior design.
Interior
that's what you're looking for, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So would you say that? What did you ask me? Oh, like, would you introduce yourself? Like, I mean, if I was a sculptor, right, I would introduce myself like as a sculptor, not as an artist.
Yeah, but you could. You could, if you wanted to, I'm an artist. Especially if you do something like sculpting and painting, just to put it under a simple umbrella, you'd say artist. Various mediums of art. I use.
Well, if I did comedy and music, I would maybe say like I'm a performer or something like this, right? But like, you see,
another category, performer.
Yeah, because I mean, but that's just because that word describes those two things together better, because you both perform for the audience. So I mean, like I've never told someone when they said, "What do you do on your Fridays and Saturdays, like in the evening?" I wasn't like, "Oh, I'm an artist." I would say I do comedy. I wouldn't even like. I rarely say I'm a comedian or I'm a stand-up comedian. I think mostly I say I do comedy.
I do it. I make him a bitch.
No, but it's because like I think saying I'm a comedian like labels me as a comedian, which I do comedy.
And you don't do labels, do you, Igor? I don't do labels.
I don't do labels. No, I mean, man. So no, I think it's kind of, when you say that you do something, it means that. It's something that, well, okay, anyways, I don't tell people I'm an artist, but I've had people tell me I'm an artist, right? So kind of like,
and you do comedy. How did that make you feel, though? This is becoming a therapy session. How did that make you feel, Igor? How did it make you feel?
Well, my mother. So, I mean, how did that make me feel? I don't think I'm an artist in the same way that a sculptor is an artist, right? But I also think I am an artist in a way that a musician is an artist.
Right, yeah.
Is a musician an artist?
Good question. Yeah.
So in that case, but also is musician not like singer-songwriter, but if you play already written, composed music.
So someone in an orchestra, for example.
Or like a guitarist or whatever in a band, but you just play the music, you just play the notes. Are you an artist?
Good question.
You are creating the music itself. I mean, the sound you are creating, but you're not creating the melody. You're not contributing to this sound, right?
Yeah, you don't actually write.
You're just reproducing the sound. So are you an artist? So, but I think this is irrelevant because we're not cover bands, right? We don't tell other people's jokes. We shouldn't.
That's another topic.
Yeah, some people do, and sometimes it's okay if you have an agreement that you share a joke or you write a joke together. But in general, we create the content and we reproduce this content, and we with this content create an emotion or it influences something, right? It creates a reaction. So I think creating a reaction is what art is. I think all the things you mentioned, I don't know, like talking about celebrities, politics and so on, it's there to create a reaction about that, to either like revolt people against something or to make them appreciate something. Or I mean, not all art can be just pretty. Right, and you're like, oh, this is aesthetically pleasing.
I was thinking about that too. Because sometimes, people just do like a nice little landscape of literally what is there, and it's not meant to represent anything other than what you see.
Yeah, but it's pretty. That's it. And I think sometimes a nice little dick joke can be just pretty. Like it doesn't have to make. I mean, but really, I think some jokes are just good jokes without being hilarious. It's just like a smart little thing to hear or to say. And sometimes a lot of comedy is very, like, I would say educational, or like, I don't know. I mean in a way that if you watch a 1 hour special, it's not 60 minutes of jokes. There will be some insights. There will be some, kind of ideas shared. So I think it will make it's thought provoking. Sometimes it will make you think. It will make you. I mean, there was this special by Daniel Sloss and there is a bit about relationships. And I've heard like several people tell me, right after I watched this, I broke up with my girlfriend or boyfriend because it made me realize that this is how our relationship is, and it's not going. And I mean, so it created some kind of result, right? Some kind of reaction. So it's art, I would say. Okay, good.
So now, craft. Do you think it's a craft as well? Because I think it's kind of both. I mean, as a craft, it's something that, as a joke, when you write, it's like writing. You talk about the craft of writing. Now, writing, this is what you've asked before, is it an art? But I think more people, it is art, but I think people use the term craft a lot more with writing, because crafting's shaping something. It's slowly, like from a block of wood or whatever, or from stone, you know, like a sculptor, like you're saying. It's also a craft where you have to chisel away, you replace pieces. Except with writing, yeah, you got a lot more, it's much more malleable, and you can take pieces away, add to more like clay, I suppose. But yeah, we're shaping it. Like we come up with an idea, a premise. We think what's funny about it. And then we have to put it all together, and we, you know, after that we try it out, and then we continue shaping it and try to shape it to a finished product where everything makes sense. So it's like a sculpture, like you said, in that regard. And same with writing. Writing does that sort of thing. So would you say I don't know, I feel I would actually, like, if someone said when someone says to me, "Oh, you're an artist," I feel awkward. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's incorrect, but I feel weird. I'm like, no. But if someone were to say, no one has, but someone were to say the word, "Oh, you're a craftsman," I'd be like, "Oh,
a craftsman, you say?
That's a nice way of putting it. My German fella. Thank you so much." You know, that's how craftsman sounds in a way more appropriate, more apropos. Sorry, I just got to stick to the thing.
But I think the crafts. I mean, my understanding of the word craft, at least, right? I think it's no, not only origami.
That's it, origami,
papier-mâché, whatever you call it, when you make things with like macaroni and glue. Shit. Anyways, so I think craft, it's more like it creates, rather than an emotion, it creates a thing. Mm-hmm. Right, because I mean that's why art. That's why
can create an emotion.
Yeah, but that's why.
That's what I mean. That's why I feel closer. It's closer to comedy in a way.
Yeah, but that's why a sculptor is an artist and a craftsman, because he creates something with his hands.
Craftsperson.
Anyway, yeah. So I think like that's why I think sculptor is an artist and a craftsperson, because they create something, and then that something creates an emotion, right? But for example, a writer, you said, like, is a craftsperson. They also they create a book, like a physical book, but then with this, it creates some emotion. You can like fantasize about this, like, I don't know, magic world or whatever it is, like 50 Shades of Grey. You can use that as a tool. Well, that's
debatable.
That's debatable, but that's also debatable. I think, like, when we come to the third point of like, it's all just a bunch of poo-poo. Bunch of doo-doo. But yeah, anyways, so I think crafts is more like creating something physically, like, and I mean we don't really make something physically, right? We make what we make.
No, but it's a writer, the craft of writing. I mean, people use that as for workshops. So you got the craft of writing. That's not actually creating anything other than a novel or book, but really the printing press did that. Well, if we were to print out jokes, then we've created something.
Well, creating like a text, basically. Yeah, I get the point. I see what you mean. But I mean, still you are, if you are a writer, for example, if you're a comedian that's a writer, you know what I mean? Like, you write for, I don't know, sitcoms or for
SNL
like
panels.
Like then I think you crafted that script, right? But if you just come and tell jokes, then I think you are artist performer rather than like craftsman. Maybe craftsperson. So in my mind, because I would be surprised if someone said, "Oh, you're an artist," but I would be even more surprised if someone came to me and said, "Oh, you're a craftsman." I'm like, no, my uncle that makes tables is a craftsman, you know, and like my girlfriend that paints is an artist. I am like a performer.
Yeah, but the reason why I think I would like it actually would be because it sounds laborious. Like, it sounds like you've really worked, you've made sweat. Like, now there's like there's a horrible image of you now I have in my head of like over a table, like a writer with like a cigarette in your mouth, even though you don't smoke. You're sitting there and you're like scratching away at this piece of paper, sweat coming off your brow, scratching words out, moving words from, in front of the noun, after the noun, and all of a sudden go, yes, it's hilarious now.
And in the end, I just like blow away all the like dust and stuff, and it's a perfect little dick joke that I've crafted, that I've carefully crafted
with love and attention. Yes, with your delicate caressing hands.
But yeah, I mean, but that's not the writing process, right? No, so that's why I wouldn't say it's a craft. I think it's more like, and I also think what arts and crafts in which way they differ is that in arts, like, you put yourself in that. Like in a painting or in a song, if you're writing a song, or in something like you put emotion, a piece of your like whatever opinion and stuff. And I think in comedy, in stand-up especially, you put you. And again, like if
even your personality, even if it's not your actual life story, even if you're
character,
comic,
even if it's a character,
it's your
that character is still your filter of the world, right? So you put yourself in. While for crafts, I don't think you put yourself in like origami. You know, I think it's or in like
gem cutting or something like that.
Or like making a wooden bench. You know, like you're making a wooden bench, and that's
unless it's your face, you want everyone to sit on it.
So that's the
bench is your face.
How big is your? Make a chair, man. Why would you make a bench? Anyways, it's just you kind of in a shape of lying down and
propped up on an elbow, sexy one leg cocked up.
Sit on me. But I think those are more crafts, and I think then stand-up would be more art, because I think that you do actually have to put like a little sprinkle of yourself on top of, like cherry on top of every set.
It's about the amount of you that's in it that's important.
Well, those two, I think the input and the output, the fact that you put yourself in that, and then the fact that the resulting product makes a reaction.
Okay.
I think that's kind of the art definition.
Okay. Or is there an easy way to simplify this and just say it's all arse? Like, it's just an amalgamation. We don't really know what the hell we're doing. We're just kind of goofing around. We're just mishmashing. Yeah, some of us in there. We work at it. Some people write on stage. Some people write on a piece of paper their jokes and stuff like that. But at the end, it's all us. It's just whatever happens to make people laugh. That's what we're aiming for, whether it's got us in it or not. I don't know. Do you think it's just us and that this debate is really just a waste of everyone's time?
Yeah, I think anything is, I mean, what is really art, right? So, or what is really craft? Let's take art. Beautiful painting by, I don't know, Monet, or the other one, Monet.
Monet and Manet?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So,
a long time I thought it was the same person for a long time.
Yeah,
I was just like, what? Hang on, wait. That's not a spelling
That's two
mistake.
people?
Yeah, I thought it was just maybe one was the French spelling or whatever, and the other one was like the maybe Italian or the other spelling for the anglicized version. Oh, two guys.
So like, okay, a beautiful like landscape or something, right? Or something, whatever it is. I don't know, some Renaissance painting of a bunch of people eating babies and playing cards in the background. You know, like kind of it's showing something, it's describing something, it's creating an emotion and so on. That's art, right? But then an empty white canvas, is that art? I mean, it is, but why? You know, so in that way, I think again, like a beautiful.
Is that the arse comparison? Like, this is pure arse.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so like that's art, right? Then we go to crafts. Again, a beautifully like crafted bench, wooden bench made of, I don't know, mahogany or some shit. It's
curls and stuff.
Yeah, even better example. Sorry, book, right? Yeah. A book. Which book would you say it's a good book? War and Peace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
Okay,
fine. War and Peace. It's
no one's read it, but
like
yes.
Crafting that book is a craft, right?
Yeah.
Is 50 Shades of Grey? Is crafting that anything? Or like, I mean, I don't even think that's a good example, because there are way shittier books. You know, like what I mean. So really? when does something stop being? You know, is it the quality? Is it subjective or objective quality?
Well, it's subjective, because I'm sure right now, I'm hoping none of those people are listening to this podcast, but I'm sure there's some people out there who, if they were to hear this, would go, but 50 Shades of Grey is art. It's so beautifully written.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing.
Subjective.
It's subjective, and it is, to an extent, I think, quality of it. But quality is also subjective. But like objective quality, subjective understanding of this quality. Like, what does it mean to you, right? So in that sense, I think that even the stupidest dick joke, if we have 100 people in the room and one person laughs, I think that's still art then.
Okay.
Because, you know, but if we have 100 people and no one laughs, it also doesn't mean it's not art. Many artists are not like understood.
Right.
In their own time, especially.
Be really careful here, because right now, any comedian listening to this, you're just inflating their ego rather than learning how to actually make a better joke. They'll be like, oh, I don't suck at this. My joke wasn't badly written. It's just the audience doesn't understand me.
I'm ahead of my time.
Yeah, it's like, be careful with what you're saying here, Igor, because in that case, you are going to be defeating a lot of years of what you've been telling people to like work on their shit.
No, but I mean, I'm saying it can be. I'm not saying that. I think like 1 in 1,000 or 1 in a million is a misunderstood artist that's actually genius, but people don't get it right now. Mostly, like other 999 are shit. So that's not like, I mean, if you have like 100 people and no one laughs, then it's either a bad joke, which is 99% of the time, or it's you're above, this current time, or this like something you're just, people can get it at the moment. But in any case, I mean, I don't think that there is a way of calling like a bad joke or a bad performer. Like, well, that's the thing. Someone had this joke that you're only a comedian if you're funny.
Right. Okay.
So it's the only job in the world. Like, let's call it a job, right? Or even like a hobby or whatever.
Career, profession, vocation.
Yeah, if you are good at it, and if you're not, it's not. Like if you're a fisherman and you go like every day fishing and you catch 0 fishes, you're still a fisherman.
Yeah, because you're putting in the work.
If you're like whatever, if you're a waiter, right? Yeah. But there is no one in the restaurant for you to serve, you're still a waiter. Right. But if you're a comedian and no one laughs at your jokes, you're not a comedian, you're just a person talking.
Well, you're a failed comedian at best.
Like, well, you're trying to be. You want to be. You wanted to be a comedian. You tried being a comedian,
you failed
but
at actually becoming one.
Yeah, so you're not a comedian. Yeah. Right. So it's
you never actually achieved.
So it's the only thing in the world that you are only it if you do it well. And so in that sense, I think like here we're talking about actual comedy, right? I mean, like jokes that make people laugh, because people who come on stage and do 5, 10, 20 minutes of material and get no laughter, that's a TED talk. That's not comedy. If it's interesting. If it's not interesting, then it's just bullshit. It's not even like educational or TED talk or anything, right? Yeah. So if we talk about that, I think because you like put yourself into that and because you get a result.
To get the good result, you need to craft it though. You need to really craft the hell out of it.
I think this depends. I think I know people who craft their sets to like to the smallest pause, to the smallest whatever you have, like a word like twist or something, pun, tag, everything. I mean, like to millisecond of how you will perform it. Yeah. And some people don't. Like I don't.
No, but some people. But there's still a level of craft. Like you think about it, even if you don't put the pen to paper. You still think about it. You kind of go, okay, next time I'm going to try it saying this way. And you try that out and you go, oh yeah, that worked better. Or, nah, still not good. Even though you don't go down to the last minute thing, you're still thinking like, okay, that sentence, I'll change it. Oh, I need more alliteration, I'll do that. That's still crafting. I mean, to craft something doesn't mean you have to do it to the nth degree. You can do basic spackling, like just covering it over, covering the cracks. That's still crafting.
Well, okay, but I mean, I agree that we craft our sets, right, our material and our jokes. But again, that the amount of crafting we do does not, I think, qualify us as crafts people. Right. Like, I mean, really, I like, if I say to people I do comedy, what I'm trying to say is I am a comedian, right? What I would be very much okay with, and sometimes I say I'm a performer, right? If it's not necessarily like stand-up comedy or something like this, then I might say I'm something like, I don't know, public speaker or whatever, but I would very rarely call myself an artist, even though I consider stand-up an art, but I would never call myself a craftsperson. So I think that's, but maybe it's just the labels as well, because I think
that's what the part that you're hitting on that I totally agree with you. It's our perspective. I just don't feel comfortable with the word artist. I would be tickled by craftsman, but I wouldn't call myself that. Yeah. But I would be tickled if someone called that to me. I'd be like, oh, probably the closest thing that I would get to actual being considered manly, I think, in my life. But yeah, that sort of thing. That's why sometimes I think like it's just us. It's just whatever. Like, as in, we just do what we do, and it's up to other people to label us however they want.
But I don't think it is, and I don't think that we should think that it's like that, because I mean, some people really appreciate and let's say respect and stuff what we do, because they could never like get up on stage and talk to strangers.
Like some weird ones like
they have this like, I mean, a lot of people, public speaking is like the second biggest fear in people and things like this. So that's why I think people like really like, I remember back in the day, we used to call our like group of residents or whatever, our team of comics here in Moscow, comedy heroes. Because I remember someone left a review on one of the Facebook page or whatever, like to get up on stage without knowing what the reaction will be, without knowing people in the room, without maybe perfecting these jokes like 5, 10, 50 times, telling them until they're, like just coming with new material. Like
crafting them, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You guys are heroes. Yeah. And we were like, we're not heroes, like doctors and firemen are heroes, but it's a big thing. It's not a small thing. I completely agree. And I think it's not something everyone can do. And if you don't do it well, then you're not a comedian. Yeah. So you have to not only do it, you have to be good at it. Yeah. So I think in this regard, it's not nothing. It's not like bullshit. It's not, I mean, I think it's a very, very hard thing to do. It's easy for us because it's easy for us, but I can't sing and for someone it's easy. Yeah. Like I can't write for someone it's easy. So but that doesn't mean it's not worth anything because it's easy for them.
Okay. Thank you for that analysis there, Professor Mondae. So I think at the end we agree, because we're creating something, not just... Because even then, like you said, singer, you can be someone who sings someone else's songs, then you're actually close to a craftsperson. You've crafted your voice to, you've toned it. But yeah, to call that person an artist, unless you're actually creating the words or writing, then that's when you're a real artist. But anyway, so yeah, I agree. Okay. So we're artists. Okay, fine. I admit it. I begrudgingly admit that I am an artiste. Thank you for making me feel comfortable about this.
If you want to feel like a man, at least for once in your life, I can call you a craftsman.
Thanks. Well, artiste/craftsman, that'd be great. Anyway, but all right, so let's look at other art forms as we discussed them. We have music, right? We talked about music. We talked about painting and writing, right? So let's consider those as 3 art forms. How is comedy? How do you feel comedy is similar and different to each one of those?
I think a very big difference is that comedy is new. I mean, new in current format. Yeah. Because comedy has been around since I think people have been around. That like this first drawings in caves that they found. Yeah. Like there's a dick drawing basically. Like I mean, people have been drawing like kind of funny stuff and
the world's first dick pic.
Yeah, cracking dick joke. Dick wall. So I've sent you this wall and you haven't responded. Mammoth was bringing it all the way from Siberia. But yeah, so I think like humor and jokes and comedy always existed in society and culture.
Okay, but stand up is considered to have started around the vaudeville era, which is about 150 years ago.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's very new. I mean, compared to like painting or that's been an art since, I don't know, old Greek times.
Well, since a dick pic on a wall in caveman times.
Yeah, and that as well. And so that was art. Yeah, that was art. But I mean, like appreciated as a part of society, right? Yeah. So it was kind of since, I think, Greek times when artists started being, respected.
Huh? Why aren't they vag pics? We always talk about dick pics. Why couldn't it have been a vag pic? Why? Is that... anyway, side topic.
Little insight into David's mind right there.
Yeah, why? Like, it's always a dick pic. It had to be a dick pic. I'm not shocked by the fact that
Okay, if someone has a vagina and if David's wife doesn't object, send him a vag pic just so he...
No. I don't want that. I want one drawn on the wall from caveman times.
Oh, I'm sure there were. I'm sure they drew vaginas as well. I don't doubt it. I mean, I just remember that...
The first one had to be a dick.
First one was a dick because obviously a man was like, ooh, what is this? Let me draw it. Yeah. But then they were like, ooh, what is that? I like that more. I'll draw that too. I'm sure there are vaginas on the walls.
But I think we have another topic that we can do in future about...
Vaginas on walls.
About the whole obsession with dick jokes and period things and contrasting and male and feminine humor and why people have different reactions. That's for a different topic. Yeah. Let's go back to music.
Yeah, I think music and painting and writing as well. I mean, again, not maybe in modern sense, not books, but writing, not music as some kind of DJing or something like this, but just, you know, like banging on a rock and making rhythm and painting. The first rave. And especially like I think painting with kind of blood and whatever they found, like berries and stuff. And I think it's been around for what, like millions of years? Well, not millions. How long is civilization?
What is civilization?
What is
civilization?
So since the birth of civilization, I think those arts have been around, and since Greek, Roman times, they have been appreciated as part of society and widely.
In the theatre, we had the comedies. Remember the tragedies and the comedies, the two masks in Greek theatre. So comedy has been around. Comedic plays.
I mean, theater or like acting is another type of art as well, but I think what we do is not theater or acting. So just it makes people haha, but it's a different thing. Like I don't think that comedy is this comedy.
Yeah, but theater, art, acting is part of playing personas or playing a version of yourself. Even like it's still acting.
Yeah, but that's like saying, I mean, photography is an art, right? Yeah. But painting is an art. But now we have a device that paints for you, but you still have to know where to point it, how to use. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like kind of stand-up came from theater and acting, but I think now it's a separate art or whatever, at least separate.
But there's overlap.
There is overlap, same as with painting, and you can paint or photograph the same tree.
I think you're pissing off a lot of painters right now, but anyway.
And why?
I don't know. I think it's that elitist sort of thing of it's being different and probably making a lot of photographers happy.
I mean, I'm just saying that it's the same medium is image, right? You're creating an image either like by your own hands or using a device. But anyways, so I that's why I think that comedy is not, because honestly, I think that people are proud to say, I'm a painter. Yeah. If you're a good painter and if you kind of believe in yourself and you're confident and you're like, what do you do? I'm a painter. Yeah. What do you do? I'm a musician. Yeah. I think it's something that people brag about, right? I don't think that, I'm a comedian.
Ooh, some people do. But that's for the coolness factor. It's not for the respect factor in the sense, it is respect, but it's coolness respect. Like, I'm hip. I'm cool. But
I think this is also only in case that you're like kind of good and popular. Like if you're on Netflix, you still tell people I'm a comedian. Oh, I'm on Netflix. You know, or if you have, I don't know, 1 million views on YouTube, you tell people, I'm a comedian. Check me out. I have 1 million views on YouTube. But if you have 27 views and do like 5 minutes on Fridays in a basement for 50 people,
that's me.
Like you know, I think people are not confident and not like, you know, it's not something even people are proud of, like themselves saying, I'm a comedian. Yeah, people are like, and what? You make people laugh? What is that shit? Yeah. You know, I think it's not mature enough as art to be appreciated and respected because people don't get it.
So maybe in 200 years.
Maybe in 2000 years, yeah. Especially here, I think. I mean, I think if we go to like New York or we go to London and I say I'm a stand-up comedian, people are going to be like, oh, that's cool. That's hard. That's interesting. That's challenging.
I don't know. I actually like to hear if anyone listens to this from those kinds of places, if they agree with what that statement, like whether it's respect.
But you know why? Because people build careers on this. Like, I mean, Seinfeld is a millionaire because of his stand-up. Ricky Gervais is a millionaire because of his comedy. People have built lives on this, and it's possible to do it, and you have to be smart and hardworking and skillful and like talented and so on. But I think here, because stand-up here in Russia, in Moscow even, in Moscow as well, but especially in like other parts of Russia, it's kind of like maybe 10 years old. Yeah. So that's why I remember like a few years ago when we went to do our first big English show, like not in a basement for 30 people, but in a theater for 500 people, right? So we came to the theater and we were like, we would like to rent the theater for an evening. And the woman, like an old Soviet granny that runs administration of this theater, was like, yes, what do you need it for? Yeah. Is it like a beauty pageant? Is it like I don't know, like she said a few things like, is it like a karaoke night or something, like talent show, like something like this? And we were like, no, it's stand-up comedy. And she, of course, didn't know what stand-up comedy is because she was maybe like 55 something, and that's not something she follows on TV, I presume, on those like independent channels. That's not like the national first channel and so on. And she was like, what is that? So we said, okay, it's comedy. We do comedy. Like, fuck stand-up, like that, okay, it's just comedy. And she was like, oh, so it's like a play, right? Like in theater, they do comedies. We were like, no, it's like one person telling jokes, right? She said something like, oh, you're the, like in Russian, obviously, but kind of, oh, you're the jokers. You know, like something like this, but it sounded more kind of like condescending. Like, oh, you tell your little stupid jokes. Like it sounded like that. Like that's not like, it felt like, you know, the question that she was really asking is like,
do you waste your time on this?
Yeah, you need a theater for this. Yeah. You know, like, don't you tell jokes at work with your friends? Yeah. Like, and that's why I think people are still kind of reserved to say, I'm a comedian, I do comedy, because I think it doesn't carry the respect and and the interest that I think it should, because I think, again, it's not easy and it's not for everyone, and I think you need to be like and brave and skillful and hardworking.
You're a little underappreciated, aren't you, Igor?
No, I don't. I mean, I like what we do, and that's why I want people.
But you want people to appreciate it more. You want to be respected, goddammit.
Yeah, I want people to appreciate it more, because other people, like our comics, all of our comics, like spend their time, like they come to workshops, they come to open mics, they come to shows. I mean, like it's not just cracking jokes with your friends at work. You can do that as well, but that's not stand-up comedy. And I think I want people, if comedians are listening, I want them to be proud to say I'm a comedian, you know, because I think it's a great thing to do.
Hiding in the shadows, fellow comedians, come out, be proud, tell the world who you really are.
Have you met a musician?
Yeah, because they always tell you who the fuck they are.
Exactly. Have you met a musician and in the first 5 minutes not hear that they're a musician?
No.
So, you know,
there's the old joke. You know, how do you know there's a guitarist at the party? Don't worry, they'll let you know.
Yeah, he'll tell you.
Yeah, he'll tell you.
Or he's just gonna start playing Wonderwall. It's one of those two things. Yeah. But lately, is it lately? No. Trying to be the one that saves me.
Man.
So. Yeah, anyways, here's Wonderwall. So that's why I think, like, if we compare it, it's really hard to compare it to those other types of arts, because they've been around for a very, very long time. People understand them fully. People appreciate them, respect them. And that's why I think it's kind of sometimes hard to get paid for comedy, because people don't understand that it's like real art and real skill and real talent, and it needs time and money and resources to be made. That's why it deserves to be paid as well, and things like this. But I mean, if we talk about here, it's really hard to talk about a situation here. If we talk about a situation in countries where stand-up exists for like
150 years.
Well, 150 years, yeah. Then I think we can draw some comparisons in terms of like genres, types, who does it, for whom, like why do you do it, and so on. I think like there is, like in literature, like in music, there is more options, more diversity, and more like something for everyone, right?
Right. Well, actually, when I'm thinking more about the similarities, what I'm thinking of is, like, for example, career path. Like, you know, in the beginning, you're struggling, you're doing the small dives, you're doing things like that. Like, as a musician, I think this is where the comparative with comedy and music, what they have in common is that you usually are the one who starts at home, sort of like writing your material or whatever. You might practice in front of a mirror, or you record yourself. You know, some people do that sort of stuff. Others don't. You find a club that is willing to give you stage time, usually an open mic, either for music or for your, or you try to form a band, like a group of people who with like-minded pursuits. Like for example, yourself, when you started doing stand-up comedy, you found like-minded people who wanted to do English stand-up in Moscow. You know, that sort of thing. Those similarities. Then it's about like just working the yard, like the stereotypical sort of thing. I am using air quotation marks, which I realize now you can't see. But anyway, paying your dues, and like you do the clubs, you do the shitty gigs, you run from one venue to another is the idea, or if you have that opportunity. But you know, you kind of work it all out. Eventually trying to get to the point of recognition, maybe getting someone to sign you up or label. Sometimes you might go to a festival, like you might sign up for a festival, like a music festival where you got the headliner acts that everyone's going to go see, and then you've got the people playing the small tent, and that's where the musician goes. And for us, it's the Fringe Festival, someplace like that, where you got the big names that people are attracted to, but hopefully they'll also come to our little shitty tent shows, and we'll do our thing and get noticed and maybe even win an award as best newcomer or something like that. I think those similarities are very similar between a musician and a comedian, in the sense of that sort of thing, right? And just like in music, you have different genres, you know what I mean? Like you have the mainstream music that most people know about, and that's what they just think music is. And then if you play something different, a lot of time, like, you know, if you played, I don't know, mathcore or indie math, like there's this really interesting genre sideways, which, you know, most people don't know it even exists. But when they listen to it, you either love it or you hate it. Like, you know, you listen, you're like, what? That's not music. That's just weird bleeps and weird da-da. And for someone else, they're like, no, that is awesome. And it's like the alternative comedy scene, you know, it's like people think comedy is one thing. They think of your stock standards. You either think of like your Billy Connolly's, your Robin Williams, your mainstream Seinfeld, you know, what they've seen on TV, Jim Gaffigan, all these guys. While on the other hand, then you get other people like Sam Simmons, Noel Fielding, all these alternative Ross Noble, where you're just like, what the hell? Is that even possible? And especially as a kid, as a teenager, where you discover these kids, it's like discovering that indie band or that style of genre of music that all of a sudden you're like, that will be my genre. That music speaks to me. It's like that comedy speaks of my life. They're thinking the same way I do. They have the weird, absurd thoughts like I do. You know, and then that sometimes can become mainstream itself, like through Monty Python or through Eddie Izzard or things like that, where they make
Mighty Boosh.
Yeah, Mighty Boosh, making Noel Fielding like, you know, more of a known thing where it's sort of accepted. Now you can get some other people like Sam Simmons, as I mentioned before, you know, he can come out and he can do a very, not a mainstream show, but like a gala event, and they invite him. In the past, people like that would probably not have been invited. It was too weird. It was too fringe. But now it's like, no, we want that. It's like almost the weirder the better, like, or they're able to get that respect, as you were talking about before, you know, getting respect for the hard work they do. And the fact that, it's not just some random weird ass thoughts. You've actually put thought into this. Like, it will start as a random, then you crafted it, and then you present it as the art that it is, and blah, blah, blah. So that's what I mean by similarities, though. I think there are some, especially between music and comedy, I think there are, because they're both kind of modern rock, modern music, and modern comedy, I think there's a lot of parallels.
I think you set up this whole topic just so someone would call you a craftsman. I see now like the way you keep kind of conditioning me into saying the words craft and we craft and then I craft and the jokes are craft. You're a craftsman, David. That's
but I did say at the end, then you present your piece of art. Like that's what you present. So
you craft and then you art.
Yeah.
But I would compare it maybe more with painting and things like this.
I was going to go next.
Because I think with music...
underappreciated and you die poor. Yeah.
No.
I thought that was it.
No, that's not it. No, I think with music and with writing and stuff, I mean, with comedy and painting, you can have it as well, but it's, I would say, not that common. I think with music and with writing and some other things, it's edited. You know, like it can be. It's not just you against the world. You know, like you write a book and then the publisher is going to like format it into a readable piece of text.
It should be pretty damn close though.
Well, it should be close, but you know, like
But that's the same with jokes. You write your first joke and then that same joke, it's very rare that it's going to stay identical to like the first time you performed it. You're going to
I'm not saying you shouldn't improve. Yeah. Of course you will improve. And the first like face you paint and the 100th face you paint are going to be very different because you learn how to paint faces, right? But I'm saying like it's kind of if you're a painter, you are your own, like you are the project. Like that's you and your canvas and your brushes and your paint and whatever, like you start, you finish, and that's it. I think comedy is more like this because again in music you can have a band, in like a play, in a movie you have like a bunch of actors, director, whatever, this and that. I think in stand-up, once you are, and I'm talking stand-up, not like improv, not some other like group things, panel shows, whatever. In stand-up, at the end of the day, I mean, in the middle of the show, it's you alone on stage. Right?
Unless you're a double act, but yes.
Well, this is your project, right? Yeah. This is however you dressed, however you washed your hair today or not, however you like.
Well, you're the costume designer, the director.
Yeah, this is your you are like your the audience is your canvas. whatever you paint, it's going to be the result of your art. Wow. That's it. So
very, very, very poetic there, buddy. Like, yeah, the audience is my canvas, and I will splash my paint all across them,
and I will cover them with dick jokes. Yeah, I know. I know it was very poetic. In a way, you might even call me a craftsman. Anyway, so I think it's more like that. I think it's kind of you depend more on yourself. I think it's you need both talent and a lot of practice to make it happen. And I think it's also
musicians don't.
Yes, they do. But I'm saying, like, you know. But I mean, okay, you can produce a comedian. You know,
I mean, we're not exclusively just only comedy and painting or comedy and music. I mean, they're all fields that require a lot of practice.
But I mean, like, you can produce, like, there are those shows where, you know, like, they kind of write the jokes for you and tell you how to perform and so on. But that's something that's, like, let's say, frowned upon in comedy. Like, you should be your own writer, editor, director, and so on.
You can get assistants, but the kernel has to be you.
Yeah, but then
you can be shaped slightly.
But then in music, you have a person that, like, writes your lyrics, you have a person that dresses you, a person that shoots your music video.
Depends on the kind of musician you are.
Well, of course, yeah, but it's not frowned upon to be like Cardi B, Nicki Minaj. It's not frowned upon. It's still art. People would say she's a musician. They wouldn't say, like, she's a mouth opener to someone else's lyrics and songs, you know? She's still a musician. But I think in stand-up, I think it's this kind of thing. It's like you are your own project. You and your comedy, it's your project.
Well, what was it? The difference between a comic and a comedian or something like that? Like, a comic is someone who actually performs on stage, creates their own material, whatever. Comedian can be is it the other way? I've got it flipped.
It's this way, I think.
Yeah, and basically, like, you can be a comedian,
actor.
Like an actor. Like, you know, like, this is what you were saying a few episodes ago when when we were doing the quiz, and you mentioned Matthew McConaughey wanting to be a stand-up comedian or stand-up comic, and the whole point was that he's been a comedian in a sense, like, he's done these rom-coms and he's doing, like, some funny stuff. But he's like, no, I want to be an actual comic. Like, I want to be the actual artist. I want to create.
I think that's the difference between musician or, like, singer and singer-songwriter, right? Or like a cover band and Beatles. You know, like, this is. But anyways, I think, like, you can be that's also another thing, I think, why painting is similar to stand-up is because, like, if you're bad at painting, then it's shit. Yeah. You know, like, if you're bad at music, you can still do music. You know what I mean? Like, someone like there are like professional, successful people who can't fucking sing or dance, but they're produced into music, or like writing as well. I mean, like, there are dumbass people publishing books, like autobiographies and stuff. I mean, like, kind of footballers or whatever, footballers' wives and stuff, that definitely they've been, like, 70% ghostwritten and edited, and you know what I mean? But like, if you're like a bad painter, like, you're not gonna get, like, 4 people to paint the rest, you know, to fix this painting.
But some people did. There were those factories, I think Rembrandt actually, or one of them, or maybe one of the Monet guys, they had, like, that factory thing, and so this is the weird thing, is that some painters, they came from, you got to be careful of whether it's actually the artist who painted it or if it was from their workshop, because if it's from the workshop, there's a chance that the artist actually did very little on it, and they only did, for example, the face and everything else, the whole background. And a lot of times big name artists, they did end up creating, like, these workshops where all the artists, they even put it under their own name sometimes, but they didn't actually paint the whole thing. They did, like, the main bits, the important bits, and all the, like, the leaves. And you know how sometimes you wonder, like, my God, artists must have spent ages doing this forest. No, he didn't. He got someone else to do it, or the freaking leaves and shit. He, like,
interns did it.
Yeah. He freaking outsourced the damn thing. And while he did the cool, you know, he was like, and now I do the naked lady. It's like, oh, you always do the naked lady, dude. It's not fair.
Well, yeah, okay. I stand corrected. In some cases, it can be a teamwork, right, as well. But in general,
as comedians, we do share and we give each other.
We workshop. Of course. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you and your art against the public. I think it's kind of like this.
Okay, to wrap up, then, I have one final question for you.
Shoot.
If you weren't a comedian, would you choose to be a painter or a musician?
I think musician because
I'm surprised.
why?
Because you kept going on about painting and the comparison with painting, and you were like closer to painting. I thought deep down, subconsciously, you want to be a painter.
Well, okay.
Like dream, not
I understand.
Dream.
So personally, I love music. Music has always been a part of my life. I've done music. I've been involved with different music projects and stuff. While art is not really my thing. Like I can go to a gallery and enjoy a nice painting, but doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. So art is not my thing as much as music is. Plus, I think a big difference is painting is not a performance art. And music is a performance art. And at the end of the day, I'm a performer.
Got it. Nice little wrap up there. Nice little wrap. So I think at the end, we've come to the conclusion. It is art with some crafting in the background, but it is an art performance. And compared to all the other art forms, obviously comedy is the best because, it's the most.
Because we do it.
Yeah, we do it. Yeah.
And I think we can conclude.
We beat the musicians, the painters and everything. I mean, they wish they were us. It's just unfortunately we don't get the respect that we deserve. Not yet.
David, you're a craftsman.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to our podcast, The Comedy Kiosk. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, feedback, you can leave a comment under the podcast or write us on our email, thecomedykiosk@gmail.com, with maybe some suggestions of topics you would like to hear us talk about, recommendations or anything like that. Thank you so much for listening. Until the next episode, goodbye.
See ya.